Is Gatecreeper's Dark Superstition gonna be the best death metal album of this year? And did they just use cowbell? Let's dive in and find out. So Gatecreeper is a 5-piece death metal band out of Arizona, founded in 2013. This is their third full album. I knew almost nothing about them. I'll just be perfectly honest about that. I'd heard a few songs, so I had to go and listen to their back catalog to kind of compare. So I would say that even though this album stays loyal to their guitar sound, that's the kind of old Swedish death metal sound of Entomb, Dismember and bands like this, the clarity in the mix is greater. Dirty, but still clean. It's not sterile, but you know, it's a totally different sound. Chase Mason's vocals are different. He takes his singing in different places on this album from the previous album. The songs are definitely more melodic and diverse than on the earlier albums. Definitely a step forward somehow, and I found out why, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So some of the highlight tracks for me, the opening song, Death Star, it just has this super melodic riff somehow, and it really reminds me of like old In Flames, and there's this song with In Flames from, I think, Clayman in 2000 called Only for the Weak. There is another song on here called Flesh Habit that somehow starts with like a really dirty bass somehow, and then grooves like hell and goes into a chorus that you just really want to sing along. It's kind of death and roll at its best, and that's what I like about this album. There's a lot of this stuff that kind of reminds you of Wolverine Blues with Entombed or something, this death and roll feeling. There's a song on here that's my favorite song on the album called The Black Curtain. It kicks off as kind of like a Paradise Lost song, but then it goes, you know, more into kind of heavier stuff, but it has this kind of gothic vibe and this melody over the riff that is really, really nice. There are all these elements on this album that are really, really, they take you so many different places. Another song that I really like on this album is called Superstitious Visions, and that song has a cowbell, guys. After 2 minutes and 20 seconds, someone brings out the good old cowbell, and it actually works, and it's super cool. And I'm not sure I've heard that before. Can you mention a song, a death metal song that has cowbell in it? I'll be happy to hear it. This album is definitely a step in a different direction for this band, and I wondered why. And I found out that they actually brought in this guy, Fred Estby from Dismember, Carnage. He was kind of the founding member of the Swedish death metal scene. If you read anything about the early days of Swedish death metal back in the 80s, 90s, his name is all over that place. And they brought him in for kind of songwriting. And I think you can really, really hear that in the melodies and how the songs are. So I actually found this album on my weekly playlist, the Weekly Fix. You can find a link to that in the first comment below. So the pros of this album are that the songs are fun. They keep you wanting more, and you kind of don't want this to end somehow. So it's a good album start to finish. The songs are much more diverse. It's everything from kind of raw death metal, gothic, a little bit of thrash metal, death and roll. There is even some black metal vibes in some of the songs, I would say. It's great singing. I really like the singing on this album because it's a little bit more clear vocals than, or not clear, but clearer than it was on the earlier albums. And the sound is really good and it's very kind of familiar. It gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling of, I don't know, coming home to that old Swedish death metal somehow. And there is cowbell. Now on the negatives, I mean, for me, I couldn't really say it's a negative, but obviously this is not like a new genre that is being created or anything like that. It's not like a landmark album in that sense, but I love this album. It's great from start to finish, but I can also see how someone who liked their earlier stuff might feel a little bit let down by this. So I'm actually gonna give this album 9.5 out of 10. In my opinion, this album is definitely a strong contender to become the best death metal album of 2024. I would be curious to hear what you think about this album. I can see myself going back and listening to this album a lot. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be very happy if you do that because I have more album reviews, I have concert reviews, and I have interviews as well. And on the topic of the best death metal album, this album here is the album that I thought was the best death metal album last year. That's As in Hell. That's the guy from Volbeat, Danish band. Great stuff. Check this video out.